From the low desert in beautiful Tempe, Arizona, this is the Politics in the Past Desert Dialogues podcast. My name is Jack Hinrichs, filling in for Dr. Rob Ferguson, who's been called to London to serve on a panel on a conference there. But I have with me Dr. Jenny Bryan, who I am honored, who I've been very lucky to have as a teacher and as a mentor over the years, to talk about the Regents Cup debate tournament here in Arizona. Dr. Bryan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jack. It's so nice to chat with you.
Yeah. Before we get into the conversation about the Regents Cup, I was hoping that you might be able to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to ASU, your field of research, and what you teach.
Sure. I have been at ASU for I think 20 of the last 21 years. I came in August 2005 as a research assistant. So I study bioethics and science and technology studies, which is a thriving discipline at ASU. Indeed, President Crow's own discipline is science and technology policy. So I came out to be a research assistant at the Consortium for Science Policy and Outcomes. After about a semester or so, I decided I wanted to go to grad school here, so I stayed for grad school. My first job was at the Asian University for Women in Bangladesh. I was an assistant professor of bioethics. And then by great luck, I was able to come back to ASU as a professor in the Honors College. And so I've been at the Barrett Honors College for 14 years, and I am currently the faculty chair of the Honors College. And I have been involved with the Regents Cup since the beginning at the request of my vice dean. I had previously not had much debate or storytelling experience, but I was the coach of ASU's Ethics Bowl team, which I describe as debate with hugs. So in Ethics Bowl, students get current in the news ethical dilemmas, case studies, and they have to come up with effective ethical solutions. And teams can get points for finding important points of agreement. And so it's a really lovely competition, and it was with that experience that I came to Regents Cup, which is all about figuring out beliefs and ideas and learning how to express them in a way that is powerful and respectful.
Absolutely. So you keep yourself busy then, is what I hear.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's important. And so you mentioned a little bit about Regents Cup and its focus on discourse and its focus on education. And seeing as you've been, involved with Regents Cup since its beginning, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about why the Regents Cup was founded or established and what it focuses on, what it seeks to teach students.
Yeah, the Regents Cup is an initiative of the Arizona Board of Regents, the governing body of the three state universities. And the competition was really conceived by then Regent Karen Taylor Robeson. It started in about 2019, and so we have had a political climate for a while now that is very polarized, and I think that Regent Taylor Robeson was really witnessing a crisis is too strong, but I think she wanted to design an intervention that would promote civil discourse and an exchange of free ideas. And so she had this idea for a competition between the three universities where students would have an opportunity to win a sizable amount of scholarship money and really have a lot of fun in the meantime exploring different topics and ideas. The first year of the competition, there were 4 different kinds of competitions, and everybody did all 4. Currently, the new iteration, the one that we've landed on for the last few years, is that there is a debate competition and a storytelling competition, and you only do one of them. But in the first year, it was really, what are the different ways in which we can explore expression and civility. So there was a storytelling competition, there was a debate competition, there was a persuasive argument competition, and then another kind of dialogue that I can't remember. But in the end, we then tailored it down to the two that we thought were the most effective and the most powerful for the audience to watch as well.
Absolutely. And I'm happy that you brought up those two forms of competition that have come to be the bread and butter of the Regents Cup. I'm wondering if we can go into those in a little bit more detail, starting with debate. What is the format of a Regents Cup debate round, and why is that the format? What is the goal of that format?
Yeah, so the debate is very much an Oxford debate. And one of the reasons that that was the chosen forum is because it's very much focused on trying to persuade not just the other team, but the audience. So we had initially, I think in the first or second, maybe the second year, we took a poll of the audience before the competition to ask them, what do you think about this resolution? And then after, and the team that was able to sway the audience the most, that counted as part of their points. We moved away from that, but I think that kind of spirit remains, right? So the Oxford debate has a prompt. One of the prompts this year is universities should integrate generative AI into all university curriculum. And the Oxford style debate competition is really designed to engage the audience in thinking through the questions as well. But the students don't get to choose which side they're on, so they sometimes might have to take a perspective and defend that perspective vigorously of a topic or belief or position that they don't themselves hold. And so the Oxford debate competition, it's teams of two, and there is an affirmative side and a negative side, and they each have time to make their opening arguments, which I believe are about 7 minutes, and then there's 20 to 25 minutes of questions from the moderator, from the judges, from between the teams, to really get at the heart of the argument, right? Why do we think what we do? What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the missed assumptions? What are the biases, or what are the kind of the implicit or unspoken costs or assumptions? And then they have time then they each get a closing statement where they can make their case again. And then the judges decide who wins, if you will. And
Yeah.
so it's a very exciting competition, sometimes gets really in the weeds, and and the topics can get kind of complicated. But it is one that is designed to be engaging both for students, the student competitors, as well as the audience. We want them to be a part of the conversation.
Absolutely. In one of the most exciting ways, in my experience debating for the Regents Cup, that the audience can get involved is through that questioning period that you mentioned. And the questioning period in an Oxford debate is quite long, much longer than in, I think, any other form of debate. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit specifically about that questioning period and its merits in helping foster civil discourse.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I would love to know about how it felt as a competitor from your perspective. The audience should know that Jack is an extremely gifted debater and has taken a break from the Regents Cup this year, but I do expect him to return next year uh, so that he can charm and persuade all of the audiences. But yes, so the question and answer period is quite unusual in terms of debate, as I understand. Again, I never did debate in high school or college, and I hear the slang of different debate terms and formats now. But I think that the cross-examination, the question and answer period in the competition is really designed to force students to engage with a position that is not theirs, right? That they have been, so they have to defend a position, and the other team has to defend a position, and they have to ask questions and make critiques of the other position in a way that doesn't alienate, that doesn't shut down the conversation, right? You have to keep it going for 25 minutes. And so therefore, you can't just say, well, your argument is stupid, right? Or how could you not have possibly read these 3 critical studies? Instead, you have to take a position that shows you deeply engaged with their argument, right? That you were listening, that you are responding to, and that you are directly engaging with their points. And so I actually think that the listening component of the Q&A and of the debate as a whole is really one of the most important things, right? In both the question and answer and in your closing, you have to show that you have deeply engaged with the other team's argument, that you have thought about it, you have thought about the ways in which it agrees or undermines or supports your perspective. You have to think about the consequences and the implications of their argument in the world and for your argument. And that's a really valuable thing. It's also teaching you how to talk to someone who you disagree with, right? In a way that opens up space for conversation rather than shutting down conversation. And that's when it works, and I believe it works almost all the time in the competition. It's a really beautiful thing to witness, and I think it's really instructive. So to go back to what I was saying about engaging the audience, I think it acts as a model for the audience and inspirational for the audience in that they are witnessing 2 or 4 students engage with one another about deeply contentious topics in a way that is generative, that is productive, and that is engaging for everybody. And I just don't think that value can be understated.
Absolutely. And I can say from my experience in the trenches that, that it absolutely has that effect. The questioning period, having done, I did high school debate, which is pretty short on questioning and long on speechifying, opining. Um, that coming to this questioning period forced me to adopt a far more inquisitive paradigm, one in which I really had to engage with what the other team was saying, not what I wanted them to be saying,
Yeah.
not what was most convenient for them to say for my own position, but what they actually said and what they actually believed. And I think that it's an incredibly powerful tool for civil discourse in that way. And so we've talked a little bit about debate now.
Mhm.
And I think that when many people think about civil discourse or policy disagreements, they often land on debates as being the primary format in which those values or those actions are carried out. Um, but the Regents Cup competition isn't just debate, it's also storytelling. And I think that a lot of people would be surprised to hear about storytelling as a way to talk about public policy and as a way to talk about politics. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about why storytelling? How did storytelling make its way into the Regents Cup competition?
The storytelling part initially was called persuasive storytelling, and we don't call it that anymore, but there is a component in the judging. One of the parts of the rubric asks, did the student's story have a call to action? And so I think that the storytelling part allows us to think broadly about all of the ways in which we express ideas and the ways in which we are persuaded. And it invites a really important creativity into the competition. We know that policy is often, we are often told, some of the most effective arguments in favor of a particular policy are told in the form of a story, right? Think about the single mother who couldn't afford baby formula, or who couldn't find a babysitter to go to a job. Those kinds politicians use stories all the time to sell the public on different policy interventions. So we know from our lived experience that stories are incredibly powerful for how we see, understand, and engage in the world. And the storytelling competition allows students to tell a personal story that then makes a call for what we ought to change about the world, how we ought to intervene. And the storytelling is a place where we see students have an opportunity to express a capacious imagination of the future, right? Based in their own lived experiences. So they're telling a story about themselves, but also about the future that they would like to see based on their own experiences. And so I think students have to memorize a 10-minute long personal story, and some of them can be quite emotional. But I think that the way that it fits in with Regents Cup is that it's asking us explicitly to think about a set of values and to think about a particular action to change the world for the better. So.
Absolutely. And having had the opportunity to see some of these stories, they are not just incredibly persuasive, but just incredibly powerful
Mm-hmm.
on a deep emotional level. I know that we talked a little bit about the specific example of the debate topic with AI. I was wondering if you could maybe give an example of a story that you've seen throughout your years at Regents Cup that really sits with you.
Oh, so many.
Yeah, that's the
um,
problem. There are too many to pick from.
yeah, I think, well, I will go with a couple years ago. The last time the competition was at ASU, three of our storytellers made it to the semifinals or the final round. And their stories were all so incredible. There was one about what it was like to grow up in Iraq in the early 2000s, like during the war, um, what life was like there, what the coping mechanisms were, and what the family's life, how the family's life changed when they moved to America, um, in ways that really dismantled a lot of stereotypes or assumptions, that really humanized the people of Iraq and humanized the American soldiers who were there interacting with the Iraqi people on the ground. It was a deeply powerful story about the costs of war and um, the liberatory possibilities of immigration. The other story was about it was about at the start of it was a fairly traumatic experience, but that wasn't really what the story was about. The second story was about the power of kindness from strangers. So different moments when strangers could not have had any idea what was happening in someone's life. How did their small acts of kindness change someone's entire life? And that was a really beautifully constructed story that, the whole audience was crying and then I hope left the competition inspired to take a small act of kindness, to show kindness to somebody that they didn't know. And then the third story that year in the finals was about a student's experience growing up in an immigrant family and her decision to stop wearing the hijab as a teenager, which was, it was an exploration of the relationship between family, religion, assimilation, teenage pressures, and kind of finding yourself finding yourself as a teenage girl in the world, and all of the difficulties of that of that under normal circumstances. So those are just three examples from one year, but I think that this year I feel really excited about the stories that our students are going to tell, and look forward to hearing the stories from the other schools as well.
Absolutely. Um, Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly frank, my time in the Regents Cup debating was fun, but my favorite parts of Regents Cup were when I got to take a moment to step into a storytelling round,
Mm.
and watch the stories. Those are some very precious memories for me. Um, as you mentioned early in that story, the three ASU students who made it into finals that year. Not to toot our own horn, but ASU traditionally has been pretty successful, I would say, at the Regents Cup competition. And so I'm wondering um, how, given our success, we must be doing something right in the coaching process. What sort of coaching techniques has ASU adopted that have proven to be successful at bringing civil discourse and listening and the values of dialogue to our debaters and our storytellers?
Oh, I don't know. No, I'm joking. Well, we are very fortunate at ASU to always have a large pool of applicants. So typically we get about 150 to 200 applicants for 15 spots. So that's nothing having to do with coaching. It is an extraordinary task to go through the 150 excellent applications and to try to choose a team. But I am fortunate enough to have the help of two co-coaches, Mary Joseph and Adam Simons, who are respectively the assistant director and director of forensics and speech and debate. I do apologize that I messed up their titles. And they together we manage the two competitions. So I kind of float between debate and storytelling, and Mary leads storytelling and Adam leads debate. And I think that right from the very beginning we are emphasizing one of the things that I said earlier about listening. So we spend some time practicing Rappaport's rules, which is it's a style of engagement with people you disagree with. So according to Rappaport, if you want to disagree with someone's argument, you first have to re-articulate it in a way that's better than what they said. Two, list all points of agreement. List places where they said something interesting or unexpected, and only after those steps can you then articulate your disagreement. And so we spent quite a bit of time practicing that because it's a really important part of the closing speech to show that you have listened and you have engaged and you have integrated the two sides. But it's really just a lot of time. We ask our students to put in about 10 hours a week for the entire spring semester. We are available to help them individually, so we have a lot of individual meetings. We really think about the quality of research. We do a lot of study about what makes a persuasive argument, right? And how do you mobilize particular values in support of your claims? So it's a lot of little things that we do, but we're really fortunate to always recruit such a dedicated group of students who are genuinely interested in the ideas and the topics, and who are motivated by the competition. And the amount of money is not insignificant. Over the last 6 years, my students have won over $300,000 in scholarship money, which is life-changing, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that the scholarship money that I won certainly changed my life for the better. It's an incredible competition, and having worked with not only you but also both Mary and Adam over the years, I can say from firsthand experience how talented and how dedicated the ASU coaching staff is. It's an incredible group of people that we've got together. And also, the people that I have had on my team, some of the smartest,
Mm.
the most committed, the interesting thinkers that I have met. It's such an incredible group of people.
I,
Um,
I mean, I do want to say, to speak to the group part. that I
Mm,
think one of the things that we try to instill that I think makes the team successful every year is the emphasis on collaboration, right? You have to obviously collaborate well with your debate partner, but you also have to collaborate well with everybody else, right? So we're sharing information, we're sharing research. When a team, if one team makes it to the semifinals and another team doesn't, then the team that doesn't is then helping the team that's made it to the semifinals and the finals. And that kind of collaborative support is a cultural thing that we try to curate, that only works to the benefit of everyone. I will say that we also try as coaches agonize over the debate partner selection. So sometimes people come and say, I really want to work with this person, and other times they don't care. And I would say that, Jack, perhaps you had two experiences where the first year you were like, I'm open, and I just loved the partnership between you and Morgan in the first year. And then the second year, when you had more experience, you were like, I think that this person is going to really complement my speaking style well, once you had found your voice. But I think both times the partnerships that we were able to put together came after we watched people closely and tried to match their styles. But they only work because we already convince everyone that everyone is good and that everyone is willing to help and be collaborative and dedicated. And you have to know that. It's an intense 12 to 14 weeks of training before the competition. And so you have to know that you're in a room with supportive people who both want to succeed themselves and want you to succeed.
absolutely. And I'm happy that you brought up not just the collaborative aspect, which is something certainly that I really appreciated and something that really helped me both before and during the tournament, but also the importance of that partnership. Both of my partners are incredibly brilliant individuals who helped me so much and taught me so much.
Both
And I
now in law school, right?
both now in law school, both now on to bigger things. But they taught me so much. I owe both Morgan and Alina a great deal. And so with the last couple of minutes that we have here, I'm wondering, the 2026 competition is coming up pretty soon. What are you really excited to get out of that competition? What are you really excited to see from the competitors on competition day?
Well, I mean, I am always so proud to just watch them have an opportunity to share the work that they've been doing for this semester, and it is such profoundly moving and good work. I am excited to watch them network with the judges, um, and the regents. I think that is, that's not part of the competition, but it is an important part of the tournament and the Regents Cup writ large. That there's a reception on the Friday night where they can meet the judges and the moderators and the regents, and that's a really kind of exciting time. They can also meet the other team, and everyone's really excited for the next day. Um, but where they will all be showing their very best selves. But I think, the values that I think that, as I said a couple times, the value of the competition is both for the students and for the audience, right? That the audience can witness all day long, the ability of the students to be deeply intellectual and deeply empathetic at the same time, right? That they have put together cases that are built on logic, research, and argumentation, and don't just appeal to evidence. To emotion, that appeal to evidence and not emotion. That our students are demonstrating to everyone how to actively listen, how to carefully listen, and to understand the nuances of an argument. That the entire tournament is about fairness and mutual respect, and we see that in the cross-examination, that you're waiting your turn to engage in meaningful dialogue, and that through debate, and both in debate and storytelling, we're also seeing a real spotlight on the ideas, right? We're moving away from kind of assumptions about who people are or their identity, or assumptions about identity and belief, and really allowing students an opportunity to express themselves fully. So how can we engage in rigorous intellectual fighting, if you will, and then shake hands afterwards? How can we tell an emotionally draining story but still demonstrate emotional resilience? How do we take criticism, right? When a judge perhaps doesn't resonate with your debate, argument, or your story in the way that you would have liked. That's a lot of things, but there are so many beautiful moments throughout the day that I think just have profound benefits for everyone involved in the competition, from the incredible staff at the Arizona Board of Regents to the judges and moderators who donate their time, and to the coaches and the students who are like, okay, well, I've been working for for many, many months, and this is my opportunity. It just it's a really powerful showcase, and we are going to the University of Arizona on Friday, or on the competition is March 28th. And then next year in 2027, the competition will be at ASU, where we will again need to dominate and win. I mean, we're going to win the cup this weekend. We lost it last year, but we're going to win this weekend, and then we'll keep it again next year.
Absolutely. I know I'm certainly rooting for an ASU victory this weekend. I think all of our listeners are. And if you're a student who's listening to this podcast, I cannot recommend enough trying out for the Regents Cup team, both debate and storytelling. It's an incredible experience. Helped me so much, made me so much smarter, made me such a better thinker and speaker. And so if you're a student listening, absolutely next year, come help us retain the cup. Dr. Brian, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today, and the best of luck here this weekend.
Thanks, Jack. It was a pleasure to chat with you, and I want to underscore that we would welcome applications from anyone who is interested in intellectual combat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. You have an excellent rest of your day. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. You too.